Lower bracket time elimination for the remaining teams here in North America. We've got 2 more series for the day, and we will be determining our top 4 going into the final championship Sunday in terms of these online qualification cups for the year. It's kind of crazy, you know. We've had the Arena World Championship going since, I believe, February was when we had our first tournament. There's been 12 online tournaments, 1 offline tournament. Now it's very much LAN season. We're getting very close to BlizzCon, and the teams are putting their front foot forward. The next team is going to be the boys, looking to avoid getting upset because they did lose to Getchur Boy Dog last week. This Rogue Mage has been a big problem for them.
Ooh, and where have we seen this composition before? Nice stuff here from the boys. I want to have more of a sample size in this matchup, so I'm really excited to see the boys play out the Serenity build with the Windwalker DK Druid, and I think it's going to be fantastic for them because this is the matchup that Wildcard nearly reverse swept Method Black with yesterday.
My question for you, Ben, why is there a 2 next to Serenity? Is that
bug?
Oh, it is. Okay, sure. I just wanted to make sure, because I was like, is there a way you can have 2 Serenities? That sounds pretty scary.
I'm pretty sure with the UI, if you have Storm, Earth, and Fire, it shows as 2, and when it switches over to Serenity, it still shows as 2. But I think it actually goes away once you use it.
Sure.
But yeah, just a little bit of it.
Okay, good. All right, just wanted to make sure. Chun-Li had figured out something. I was like, oh my goodness, I don't want to deal with that.
I don't want to be that mage.
Yeah, we'll see. Now full blind on to Gorecki. Good setup here from Getchur Boy Dog. And like Zico was saying, I mean, we saw the Windwalker Death Knight with the Restoration Shaman do a really good job for Method Orange last week. But in terms of Restoration Druid, I mean, the boys have really been struggling against Rogue Mage Druid. The Monks have sort of made adaptations, running Serenity now, and it makes a lot of sense. Storm, Earth, and Fire was really ineffective against Frost Mages because of all the different routes that they have available. Serenity at least allows you to get out that bonus damage when you do have your offensive cooldown, and it seems like just that adaptation has been enough for Windwalker Death Knight to sort of start taking wins against the Rogue Mage Druid.
Yeah, the Necromancer's bargain as well for the Unholy Death Knight, reducing the amount of minions in the match so the Frost Mage's Blizzard doesn't get as much value to reset the cooldown of the Frozen or reducing the damage overall from the Rogue Mage Druid. So next an option not to run the Necromancer's bargain. Maybe it's something that only Mez is deciding to run. It does mean that Grayson will be able to maximize his damage a bit more. However, I believe in Europe, Wildcard Gaming, Zepai wasn't running it either. They were just only running the Serenity, and they were still able to take games off the Rogue Mage Druid with the Restoration Druid variant. So the boys are likely watching Wildcard Gaming play that and saw success with it and now look to take it for their own. Bit of a mistake by the boys defensively here, overlapping Ironbark and Touch of Karma in their assault. However, with the amount of counter pressure that they have 3 members at 50% health.
Yeah, and the Necromancer's Bargain, I don't know, it's just one of those interesting talents, but I feel like people are not going to opt into running it maybe until you see like super big success with it. Maybe from someone like Mez. I think people are still a little bit skeptical in this matchup with what healers to run, but they did force out the Ice Block of Grayson right there. Flop getting swapped to a little bit as well, and I think if the boys can do a good job keeping up pressure, that's their best way of stopping drinks. And then you have Gorecki from time to time going for his own drink or shutting down the enemy healer's drink. He's been really good at that. So right now, he's literally sitting in the middle of the map drinking. So good job for Gorecki. Chun-Li gonna use his diffuse magic. Gorecki's gonna come out basically on 95% mana. Should be able to stabilize Chun-Li in this situation with the Ironbark flop getting swapped to triple DR leg sweep. Comes out, flop actually in a lot of trouble here, taking huge hit from the Serenity, and Chun-Li still has a touch of death. So they also proc the safeguard there. Big win here for the boys. If they can grip in flop and get a big stun onto him, they can actually take him down 100-0 with that touch of death from Chun-Li. So good look to see that happening.
Yeah, honestly, Gorecki has played absolutely insane in this matchup. What he just did is, preemptively on the Mighty Bash from flop, he wild charged to his partner who was in the Blizzard, so there was no polymorphs available, the Cyclone was out of range. It was just a beautiful play, and quite frankly, if I'd seen today play out, I think I would have given my MVP healer to Gorecki, because he's had an absolutely outstanding day. He's played so good, and I mean, between him and Cubsy, it was so close, right? Like, these guys have been back and forth. Gorecki's really coming online for the boys here. This matchup is incredibly difficult. We know, of course, Rogue Mage has been dominant basically throughout season, certainly the second half of season 2 with patch 8.2 coming in. Evasion forced out from Baby Cakes. The boys are actually looking so good here in this matchup, but there's still a long way to go.
We've got a lot of pressure, and Grayson could be in a lot of trouble. He's got the temporal shield rolling, icy veins as well. He's looking to get really aggressive here. Unfortunately, not able to really find any defensive cooldowns from the boys. Right now, the boys, there is an opening. Baby Cakes with no evasion. He's going to be exceptionally vulnerable to the Touch of Death. Serenity all in. Chun-Li really does have coming up shortly. Chun-Li now getting back over onto Grayson, trying to get some damage rolling, but he gets shut down by Baby Cakes. Goreki's mana doing quite well, but Flop has managed to, do a good job managing his mana in this matchup, and that could be something that becomes sort of the determining factor. We do know Goreki, he does an incredible job throwing caution to the wind when looking to shut down enemy healers' drinks. The boys normally do a really good job of that. Serenity now rolling for Chun-Li, or actually, it wasn't the Serenity, it was just the Maledict push over onto Grayson. They still managed to find a lot of pressure, looking to get that Iron Bark. If they can get Iron Bark desynced with Serenity and Touch of Death, that's when the boys can really start getting those ice blocks.
All right, we'll see if they can push forward for those major objectives. The ice block of the Frost Mage. Evasion out of the way on the Rogues. They're going after Baby Cakes a bit here, trying to bait out an Iron Bark or Flop, and likely to make a swap. Flop, though, looking like he's sitting down for a drink. Goreki doing the same, likely. Witch Druid is going to find mana regeneration. Flop decides to stop Goreki instead of going for a drink of his own. Mana is even. Flop gets denied on his crowd control by Chun-Li. Good teamwork there on his part. Now Flop is crowd controlled for an extended period of time. Grayson's going to respect that. Activate the temporal shield, absorb the attacks while his healer's crowd controlled. Goreki again just goes across the map, tries to sit down for a drink. Doesn't look like anyone knows where Goreki is, so he's likely coming back to the fight with a full mana bar. Activating Iron Bark immediately to recover from the damage. Baby Cake's caught into a stun. Iron Bark may not be enough. He's very low on health. Gladiator Safeguard going to proc on top of it and be enough. Chun-Li taking a huge amount of damage in return as well. The source to use his Touch of Karma. Now the boys down a significant amount of cooldowns. Get your boy dogs look to try and kill Chun-Li, but still the main objective for the Rogue Mage Druid should be to just maintain mana, survive to the 30% dampening mark, and kill the Death Knight.
Yeah, a lot of damage now onto Flop here. Uses his Bark Skin. I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. I think they might proc out that Safeguard as well. Actually, doesn't look like he has it. I'm pretty sure it should have procced the Chun-Li now with Touch of Death. Oh, nice Ring of Peace, but I think Flop was on DR from that Vortex. Unfortunately for Chun-Li, he could have connected there with a big burst of damage with that Paralyzed. Not going to be the case here, and instead he's going to have to abandon that push, go after Grayson. Now Flop has an opportunity to drink here. Very important to see Smexin with good pet control here. Flop is sitting down. He's going to get a lot of mana here. It looks like Smexin is looking for the Death and Decay, but I don't think he's going to be able to find it in time, and he's actually not even going to go for it completely, and Flop has a full mana bar now. Big mistakes here from the boys, but they're still in this fight, Adrian.
Yeah, they're still in the fight. I think it's the deep stages of dampening that we've got to worry about. Now, yesterday when we saw Wildcard Gaming, this is why Zico was very excited to see how this matchup plays out, get more case studies of it, because in the past we would say the Death Knight loses at 30-40% dampening, but Wildcard Gaming actually were able to stay alive and just keep their pressure high at those deep stages of dampening. So we'll have to see if that can be held true for the boys here. They've done a good job in the early game, forcing ice blocks from Grayson early, forcing evasions. It's been a pretty promising start, and both healers have high mana, so they're both set up for success. The more we see this matchup play out, the more with an idea we can get who actually does have the advantage. Chun-Li with the Serenity, with the Touch of Death is such a threat, and that's only going to add up more and more the deeper we do go.
Yeah, deeper into dampening is probably where we're headed as well. And we've seen the boys really struggle in deep dampening. Smexin becomes such a vulnerable target as we move forward. Lichborn going to be activated. Flop now into some crowd control as the boys look to get aggressive. But the damage just doesn't seem to be there. Grayson, he's got both of his ice blocks. He's only really had to rotate through his temporal shield. Flop's been doing a really good job managing his mana. And I feel like at this point, the boys, they're going to be in a little bit of trouble. They really have to start forcing out some major defensive cooldowns. Blind play coming in from Baby Cakes. Goreki immediately trinkets out of that. And that's a standard play. Doesn't want to fall behind in the blind. Doesn't want to make himself vulnerable to blind sap later on. So just trading that out to be efficient is good. Baby Cakes right now without evasion, like I said, he'll be a little bit vulnerable. And I feel like at this point, since Grayson has so many defensives, they need to start looking to cleave down Baby Cakes and try to take advantage of some opportunities We do know that Rogue is Babycake's ult, but it doesn't really seem to be a major weakness. Smexon right now in a kidney shot with a polymorph over onto Gorecki. Nice setup here by Getchur Boy Dog, but it's touch of death Serenity time. Babycakes manages to trade out the feint, and I think he's going to be able to survive. It's not really that big of a hit, especially with the feint rolling in from Babycakes. Maybe Chun-Li should have been a bit more patient with that, especially because if Babycakes can get the feint off, it mitigates so much damage.
Smexon securing some crowd control on the flop, putting Babycakes further behind, also switching some damage to flop as well. Dampening at 26%, this could be difficult for him to recover with 2 members so low on health. Babycakes once again activating the feint, reducing damage at sub 10% health levels. Evasion trades out alongside the Gladiator Safeguard. The boys finally getting through some major objective points in terms of defense, but we're 2% away from that 30% magic marker where Getchur Boy Dog look to erase the Death Knight. The boys need to step on the gas pedal. They gotta floor it.
I thought that 30% marker was 40%. Sid.
It's changed since the Restoration Druid nerf by 10%.
They did nerf the healing by 10%.
Magic number is 30% now.
Okay, so the magic number is kicking in because Smexon is taking a lot of damage here. Gladiator Safeguard's gonna proc, overlaps it with his anti-magic shell, taking quite a beating here. But Flop now caught up in the leg sweep, doesn't have his trinket available, and this could be it. Chun-Li in crowd control, DR asphyxiates, comes in. The Iron Bark is trying to deflect the situation here, but Flop taking so much damage, and he's gonna make sure that he gets around the pillar, should be able to recover in this situation, but he doesn't have a lot of mana. Chun-Li immediately targeting Babycakes here on the Rogue, and Babycakes has no defense. He could just go down here, honestly, Sid.
Yeah, he could. Let's see if he manages to pull it back together. With Cloak of Shadows active, it appears to be the case. It's Smexon now who is in trouble, Adrian.
Yeah, he definitely is in trouble. 34% healing reduction. The Death Knight struggling so much. Babycakes is also in a bit of trouble. Doesn't have the evasion. Could still go either way. Full counterspell on Gorecki. He'll actually be able to chain out the heals at this situation. He has a bit of a mana lead, but it's just so much dampening this poor Death Knight.
Yeah, this is a struggle right now for Smexon, but Touch of Death is rolling. Babycakes could easily fall. He has to feint. He's waiting. Ironbark right now is rolling for Flop onto Babycakes. That should deny a lot of the damage. A full Cyclone coming in from Flop. Very nicely done. Smexon, he's on the run with the anti-magic shell. Flop actually gets interrupted. This is danger time for Flop as he looks to leap away. He's got the bark skin. Smexon still just not getting topped off. The damage from Grayson and Babycakes is probably going to be too much for Gorecki to handle. But with that Iron Bark, there's an opportunity. Babycakes, he's getting low. He trades out the evasion. He's still in so much trouble. Chun-Li trying to get on his back. Flop gets interrupted, and the boys take game number 1 at 40% dampening. I really feel like this Serenity pick is just coming out really, really nicely here for the boys, for these Windwalker Death Knights, especially if they make sure they're putting pressure on the Assassination Rogue. The Frost Mage is really difficult to take down, but if you can kind of cleave down the Rogue and take advantage of big swap opportunities onto him, can definitely fare, well.
Yeah, that was actually one of the first times I saw 2 melees play around the evasion so well as well. When we see casters, there's a pillar and we talk about them kind of pincering. Smexon and Chun-Li did that to Babycakes there. He was in the middle of his evasion. He's 70% slowed by the Chains of Ice. They actually walk around him, so one's always guaranteed uptime. That was really smart, really showing why the boys are one of the best melee cleaves in North America.
Yeah, and this is another case study here of 40% dampening Windwalker DK versus Rogue Mage Druid going in favor of the Windwalker DK, so it's starting to look good. Honestly, these DKs have just been flopping over, in dampening, but with this Serenity build, it seems like the Windwalker adds that extra bit of punch, and here once again, Chun-Li just being the X factor, honestly. If he doesn't interrupt that Cyclone, Smexon is probably just gonna die instead. He interrupts the Cyclone, he makes Flop have to waste essentially his globals on healing himself. Then, of course, Gorecki can follow that up with the bash, and then here's the moment Adrian's talking about. You can see Smexon and Chun-Li right there, positioning Babycakes in between them, so at least one of them is able to hit through that evasion, because you can only dodge and parry attacks that are coming from your front. So, you're very smart to have someone basically force the Rogue to be hit in the back by someone. Nicely done by the boys.
Yeah, really nice. I think that's the first time I've seen someone, normally evasion is just an immunity to the melee cleaves. Obviously, 40% dampening helps there since they were going to be Druid Hots active at the time, but very intelligent play. The boys able to pull through in a matchup that we're still not convinced is necessarily favored towards the Windwalker Death Knight, though this is a promising sign.
Not necessarily favored, potentially, but at least it's looking better.
At least there's a chance.
Yeah,
right? It's better than a few weeks ago.
Yeah, when we saw a few weeks ago, it actually felt hopeless. I mean, they literally gave up and brought in Thugbear. It seemed so bad. And I mean, that's really saying something. So the fact that now with the Serenity, they're sort of making a stand, and even if it's a 50-50 matchup or a 45-55 matchup, if they have a chance in the matchup, a team like the boys with a monk like Chun-Li, and Smexon really holding it down on that Death Knight, he's been doing a good job. And Gorecki, obviously the Restoration Druid. This team is solid, and if they can have a matchup that's even slightly not favored to them, they can definitely find wins like this.
Yeah, and I mean, with the boys, like they are the one team going to the summer finals without a mage, which means that they have to pull something miraculous out of the bag, right? Because mages are really good in the current meta. These guys have been playing it fantastically, and that is one of the reasons why a lot of us did vote for Chun-Li as our MVP. He has been the anti-mage. You know, in the past it was Swapsy. Swapsy abandoned ship. He's playing with Raikou now. Chun-Li has been defying us.
Yeah, Swapsy's got his sunglasses on. He's sitting back. His method block just went everything.
He's rogue mage. Rogue mage druid. It's all mine now. It's all mine. I am Swapsy. I will win BlizzCon with the rogue mage. Potentially. Maybe not. Chun-Li's looking pretty good.
Yeah, Chun-Li, a phenomenal player. I mean, that's why I gave him the best DPS award for North America. Just very well-rounded, good team leader, just chill guy. Great teamwork. Tolvaron Arena locked in here. Pretty standard pick for the Rogue Mage Druid. Pick the biggest battlefield, get a lot more space, get a lot more time to stabilize into that 30-40% dampening mark to kill the Death Knight. It makes a lot of sense. The boys aren't going to be changing to the Shaman. They're going to be sticking with the Druid. Perhaps we see Feral Affinity maybe from Gorecki. It could be a little bit risky if Getchur Boy Dog go after him, although I think on this map it would be one of the best maps to get away with it. Getchur Boy Dog likely locking in the same composition, although they do have Windwalker Mage available, and we saw Method Orange see success with it, but I think we're just going to see Rogue Mage from them. That seems to be what their main focus has been for some time now.
Yeah, I mean, they'd be getting better and better at it, though I think the Windwalker Mage is an interesting point because Baby Cakes is known for that class.
Yeah, but they are going to go with the Rogue Mage Druid.
Okay, well,
seems
I
like
was setting us up for something interesting.
Pick.
Rogue Mage is okay as well, I guess.
Yeah.
Rogue Mage is a pretty good comp to have in the current meta, so not too surprising to see Baby Cakes on that Rogue, but if they lose this game, they may as well try it on the Windwalker Mage. The Windwalker Mage Druid is not really a bad matchup against what the boys are running here, but we did see Method Orange kind of struggle a little bit with that matchup against the boys running this comp, so I'm not sure if they can play it better than Method Orange, but we'll see if it comes to that. For now, it's all about RMD on Tolvaron Arena here. And, I mean, it didn't look terrible the last game. I feel like they had a lot of pressure on Smexon, you know. If the last couple of seconds of that game were played out a little bit different, if Chun-Li was a little bit further away and couldn't connect with that kick, they could have easily landed that Cyclone, and then all of a sudden, Smexon would have been the one on the back foot there at the end. So definitely could have gone either way that last game.
I'm still slightly disappointed, I'm not going to lie, with Getchur Boy Dog and some of these other teams, because last week, the very last series on Sunday, we saw Method Orange getting dispatched by the Arcane Mage coming out. Jamili is something we've seen displaced from the tournament, very much so, Zico. And I mean, Grayson, this guy has played Fire, has played Frost. I'm pretty sure he could be playing Arcane. It's true of a lot of the mages. They know it's a meta pick now. They've seen Jamili literally win a tournament with it. Surely it would be great here.
I think so. I mean, Baby Cakes could even play as Windwalker in that situation.
Yeah, exactly. Windwalker Arcane.
You have a really durable composition. I feel like it would definitely be a solid option, but we know the mages don't play anything but Frost.
Why would they like Arcane? It doesn't make sense to me.
I'm not sure. It was
you guys love Arcane. You're always telling me how much you love Arcane.
Well, it was the same thing as well. Like, even last year, mages in general were super slow, especially the European ones, at kind of adapting and learning how to play all three specs. And I mean, people who knew how to do that ended up being very successful, like Alex. So
he won BlizzCon.
Yeah, he won BlizzCon at the back of that Arcane Mage. So I'm not sure, but definitely could be a case of history repeating itself.
Yeah, it's just a weird phenomenon to me, I suppose. Like, you've got these world-class mages that don't really multi-class to other stuff. You'd think that if you want to be kind of an expert of your class, you'd want to be able to play all three specs. Maybe the Frost Mage is just good enough. Like, I think this matchup certainly isn't disadvantaged for the Rogue Mage, but Arcane, it was made for this matchup, it almost feels like. Baby Cakes, he plays the Windwalker, so that would have been a great one. But Getchur Boy Dog, you know, they are going to go for the biggest map. Certainly not a disadvantaged draft here. Let's see if they can pull it off in Game 2 against the boys.
I mean, even think about just Serenity for Windwalker Monks. Like, no one played Serenity, and then they saw, oh, Trill played it. I guess that's good. I guess we'll all play it now. So I think it's just going to take one person to sort of lead the charge and show that it really can work. I mean, Jamili did show that it did work last week, but it definitely is an interesting phenomenon amongst a lot of the professional teams and professional players. It's rare where we see an outlier who really does experiment and sort of go against the current meta, but we'll see. Chun-Li right now in a kidney shot. Good pressure here for Getchur Boy Dog. Kleptomania Spellsteal comes in, and that's going to be a touch of karma really early on, forced out. Chun-Li still not totally out of it yet. Gorecki finally gets out of the crowd control, Sid, and I think Chun-Li should be stable.
All right, let's see if the boys can hold on here. Chun-Li's defense is quite limited, so we may see him decide to just focus on defense. Getchur Boy Dog are switching targets, trying to catch the boys off guard with an early swap. Smexon going to drop that swap with the Lichborn, immediately preventing the kill on himself. Chun-Li decides to overextend. Vendetta, smoke bomb available. Chun-Li needs to be very careful in this position. Baby Cakes has a game-winning formula of cooldowns if Chun-Li overextends. Gorecki knows smoke bomb is a threat, so he's staying close to Chun-Li, jumping in on top of Flop. Chun-Li gets stunned up. Smoke bomb not going to be an option here. They're trying to bait Iron Bark with the Frozen Orb. They do manage to pull it. Now another opportunity again for that Vendetta. Baby Cakes is waiting in the wings.
Yeah, we're going to see if that pays off for him. Baby Cakes getting a lot of bleed damage here onto Smexy, so it looks like they're splitting their damages a little bit more. Gorecki actually being very aggressive here onto Grayson. Got to proc the Gladiator safeguard. He trinketed out of a blind and missed the fray there. Grayson has to use his Ice Block. So much damage coming out of that Serenity build here, and so far it's looking good for the boys.
Yeah, it's definitely looking pretty good for them. This is the adaptation we wanted to see. You know, it is strange though what Benriku's talking about. You know, even the Serenity, it's like that should be something that I would have thought it would be quicker picked up by one of the Windwalkers, since the pets, they get basically novaed and snared by the Frost Mage. The Serenity just seems so much better. They get an easy Ice Block there. 2 minutes into the game, if they can just repeat that every 2 minutes, they will just win the match. Like, Ice Block is a very long cooldown for these Frost Mages. If they have to use that immunity every time, it's troublesome. Flop's mana's not looking great, and the boys, I think Game 2 is even better than Game 1 so far.
Yeah, I mean, so far so good. Look at Flop's mana, it's not doing well. Down to around 35%. Chun-Li caught into a stun, but he's going to be durable. He's still got the touch of karma. Just traded out his diffuse magic, but here's the thing. The Windwalker Monk has so many defensive cooldowns. Once he uses the touch of karma, Fortifying Brew will have a 20-second cooldown. Then Fortifying Brew rotates up, diffuse magic is going to be up in 10 seconds. And the way it works is if Chun-Li isn't overlapping his defensive cooldowns, he's always going to have one available with his Transcendence to stay alive. And that's what makes the Windwalker Monk such a durable class in the game right now. Grayson right now taking a little bit of damage as he's trying to kite away, but I don't think he's really going to be the main target. However, he's already traded out one Ice Block, and he still hasn't used his Cold Snap. So I don't know if that's a misplay or if he's just waiting for his Ice Block to rotate back up. That could definitely end up biting him, though. If Smexon and Chun-Li can force out his Cold Snap in the next 3 minutes, he's going to be way behind on that third Ice Block, and that's going to be a big opening for the boys.
We should just ask all the mages in the tournament, why would you hold on to your Cold Snap? Now he's going to have to use it, but he could have had his Cold Snap 3 minutes faster for his Ice Block if he ends up having to use it. I'm going to say that I think it's a misplay to use your Cold Snap in this manner. He's going to have to do it. And now his Cold Snap basically gets an extra 2 minutes on its timer.
Yeah, it's really bad.
It's not good. I don't think it's good. I want to ask Alec in particular. I feel like he's the one mage that we've seen consistently do it. The only advantage is that, what is the advantage?
The only advantage is that Ice Block has a 4-minute cooldown. So if you wait 4 minutes, it's never worth the risk, though. It's just such a risky play to make. I really feel like it's a mistake. However, that's going to end up costing Grayson 2 minutes on his third Ice Block. Yeah, in fact, he doesn't have his Ice Block for another 4 minutes. 5 minutes left on Cold Snap. And guess what? Serenity, Touch of Death, those are both going to rotate up. That's going to be an opportunity for the boys to get really aggressive. Grayson barely holding on at 1% health during that last exchange. However, Getchur Boy Dog, they actually have decent pressure rolling on Gorecki right now. His mana's not doing great. He does manage to escape, but Baby Cake's still all over him. Iron Bark forced to be traded out. Gorecki running back to the safety of Chun-Li and Smexon. Nice paralysis should buy Gorecki enough time to cross the map and survive.
All right, now I don't know. Grayson's trying to solo him, although Grayson is very low on health as well. Gorecki does manage to scramble away to safety and stabilize. His man is pretty hit. at this point. He's going to need to drink. Flop sees him trying to drink. He's moving in, jumping over to the pillar. How much mana are you going to get Gorecki off the back of this? It's really the question. He's going to stop his drink, jump in, and stun Grayson. He is running that feral affinity. We'd love to see Gorecki later on in the fight when he's got an opening get in there and get his paws dirty, because that extra damage is certainly going to be necessary, I think, to take down the mage of Getchur Boy Dog. Chun-Li with a beautiful read here, anticipating the stun, and Touch of Karma activated right before it, so he completely negates the attack of Getchur Boy Dog. Now looking to bounce back with a double leg sweep onto both Grayson and Baby Cakes. Flop gripped into a stun. Beautiful crowd control chain by the boys. Unfortunately, not really netting them anything of significance.
Yeah, and Flop got to reset his mana completely when they were going after Gorecki a little bit earlier, so Gorecki's going to need to look for another drink here because he is burning through his mana quite a bit. Grayson, still no ice block for about 2 minutes, but with Flop having so much mana, I don't really see Grayson going down here, so that big mistake he did earlier, I don't think he's going to get punished. There's still an opening, though. Chun-Li has to use his Serenity Fist of Fury onto Baby Cakes, as Grayson actually managed to escape there. And Grayson himself has his Icy Veins, has his Orb. Gorecki's drinking on the flip side there. Then Flop was actually looking for him there, but couldn't find him. So Gorecki's going to come back with a basically reset mana bar. Chun-Li with the Fortifying Brew should be fine in this situation. Drops the Anti-Magic Zone as well in trade for the Icy Veins and the Vendetta. Nice pressure here over onto Flop, but he's using Innovate to heal through all of it, so nice defensive maneuver here from Getchur Boy Dog, Adrian.
Yeah, it was a bit of a botched offensive attempt from the boys, but your boy Gorecki was able to get a drink off of it, so they're not going to be unhappy with the exchange. Now they're the ones in the lead, 80% mana as we approach those deeper thresholds of healing reduction. Baby Cakes has to use his evasion once again. Could be an exposed target later in the game. Rogue Mage Druid, you know, the map doesn't seem to matter too much because the Windwalker and the Death Knight, they're not actually trying to kill the Frost Mage in Deep Dampening. They're going to kill the Assassination Rogue most likely, and guess what? He's going to be right on top of them. He's going to be attacking them. He has to get the win condition on the Death Knight, so he will hence expose himself. This game still could go either way. Both healers have done a good job resetting their mana appropriately. Flop does have a bit of a disadvantage, but we're still not at too much dampening yet. 20% isn't enough for either of these teams to actually finalize a kill onto each other, normally at least. Smeks in, Kidney Shot comes in, he's high health. Gorecki's doing an excellent job overhealing him, ensuring he has all of his heal over time effects, including that mushroom, and it's just looking so good for the boys. This matchup does seem like something they can win consistently, at least against Getchur Boy Dog.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see if they can do it. The thing is, it's sort of a double-edged sword. At 40% dampening, if Baby Cakes and Grayson can get one nice setup, Smexon can be in so much trouble. Flop forced to trade up Barskin and Iron Bark as he looks to leap away. Does manage to escape behind the pillar. Beautiful peels coming in from Baby Cakes and Grayson to keep him alive, but that's going to heavily tax Flop's mana. And also, he's fallen behind on Baby Cakes. Baby Cakes right now, no Trinket, no Banish, no Evasion. This is the perfect opportunity for the boys. Baby Cakes forced to run and hide, trade out the Cloak of Shadows even. He's really got nothing left here, Sid. Baby Cakes going to be in so much trouble. I really feel like he's going to be the main target from this point forward.
Smexon anticipating this attack, activating the Anti-Magic Shield right before being stunned. The boys playing at the highest level. Gorecki is getting in the fight now, stunning up Grayson, adding in a bit of damage. We'd love to see Gorecki get a lot more aggressive in this position. Vendetta has been committed. He knows that's not going to be a threat anymore, and that's exactly what he's doing. He joins the fight, stunning Flop, but Flop survives it and then stuns Gorecki himself into a polymorph, setting Getchur Boy Dog up beautifully for potential kill on Smexon. Baby Cakes is grapple weapon. He can't really attack, only with the Fan of Knives. Going for blind here potentially in the near future. Gorecki decides to shrink it. Smexon gets cloned at low health, denying the recovery, and then buying time for Gorecki to fall off diminishing return for potential polymorphs that could win the game for Getchur Boy Dog. Smexon's getting overwhelmed here on 10%. Big Ice Nova. Gorecki fake casts the Shadow Step kick, but gets caught in the poly. He's stuck between a rock and a hard place and has no good moves left. Getchur Boy Dog tying it up 1-1.
Yeah, very well played there by Getchur Boy Dog, playing for that deep dampening win condition. They get the kill over on Smeks and Chun-Li at the end. He actually went for a solo kill and Flop a little bit, but that was where the map really did come into play. Flop was able to kite away, expose Chun-Li to polymorphs. Really nice Mage Druid synergy there, and the series will be tied up 1-1.
Yeah, I feel like the map, like you already mentioned, is just such a big factor in this matchup. When when you play on Tolveron against Rogue Mage, it's so hard to stop the drinks. It's so hard to keep your pressure going. So definitely a map that they shouldn't be able to win on. And you know, the boys, they had, you know, a lot of different opportunities where they had some pressure, especially towards the early stages of the game. They were able to force out the blocks of Grayson pretty early on, but after that they were struggling to find their pressure. And once the CC chain starts landing onto Gorecki, that's when Smexen is just going to be in the biggest trouble here. He uses his Lichborn, trinkets out, the Bash Polymorph connects, and Flop, he is taking quite a bit of damage from Chun-Li's solo mission, but Chun-Li has to abandon that push, realizing that Smexen is in huge trouble. And then of course the low Cyclone comes out as a result of that from Flop, and they actually had a decent game here in terms of mana, but Smexen just too far behind in this situation. No Iron Bark, no nothing really that Gorecki can do to try to keep him alive there, despite having a big mana bar. And that's the problem. If Smexen was out in the open, he could actually stand there and cast, or if Smexen was with him behind the pillar, they could also potentially snare everyone up, line of sight, and get cast off. But when they were kind of standing where Smexen is in the open, but everyone else can still like counterspell him and shadow step kick him at that pillar, it's really hard for Gorecki to actually get those heals out, and he needs to cast there.
Yeah, I mean, you can't put any fault on him. I actually thought Gorecki, with the Feral Affinity, he set up a couple of conditions for his team where maybe they could have won the game, but ultimately tied up. Tolveron, the best map for the Rogue Mage Druid. Oh, how are the boys going to bounce back? The series has been very close. The boys have actually been in two incredibly close series today, narrowly losing out to Method Orange earlier, now finding themselves against one of their most difficult adversaries, the Rogue Mage Druid. Composition from Getchur Boy Dog. It is a small map. Hook Point is where the boys have taken us. Will they be able to pull through with a win here in Game 3?
Yeah, I mean, let's see what the boys can do. I think the smaller map definitely is going to help them. They kind of struggled to stay on target, but that map is out of the way. Tolveron Arena, obviously a really good map for Getchur Boy Dog. Now we're going to a bit of a smaller arena where the boys will likely have a lot more uptime, a lot more pressure. And this in general is just going to be a much more difficult game here for Getchur Boy Dog. In terms of drinking, I think it's unlikely we see either one of these druids really sneak away, especially so for Flop. I feel like Flop is going to have such a difficult time drinking, especially with the Unholy Death Knight of Smexen. If he can do a good job keeping up his diseases, sending his ghoul, and sort of track where Flop is, I don't think he's ever going to be able to drink.
No shots fired here to Getchur Boy Dog, but obviously Flop and Grayson have a ton of experience together on their Mage and Druid, but Baby Cakes is a pretty fresh assassination rogue, so their overall synergy on this composition is still pretty new, and the boys lost to them with a composition that we were starting to say is the counter to Rogue Mage Druid. So if you're losing to a team that's kind of just picking up the composition, what chance do you think the boys really stand in the summer finals when they face Method Black, who've been a dominant Rogue Mage Druid, Daedalus, or Change My Mind? I'm not sure. The boys, they're going to need to put a lot of practice into this composition. Although if they do manage to at least win on the Grand, they can take the smaller maps like they have here in Game 3 and Hook Point and pull that to their advantage. But if Getchur Boy Dog can manage to win on even the small maps, then the boys are going to need a different comp, or they're going to have to put in a lot more time.
Yeah, I don't know. The meta might just be different altogether at that event, so it might be a little bit too early to call, but as it looks right now, the boys, and to some degree Method Orange as well, feel like are, you know, prime suspects to that Rogue Mage Druid composition. Anyway, now we're going to see triple leg sweep come out, Grayson, preemptive Temporal Shield, Baby Cakes, preemptive Feint, and that's going to force the boys to go after Flop. He didn't have his Bark Skin in that situation, but he is going to be fine. Gorecki, he did trade out his trinket for that blind earlier on. Chun-Li now activating his Fortifying Brew. Not going to be able to line that up with the Touch of Death later on, but he did get it before a stun. Nicely done. Baby Cakes here with the Vanish triple stun lock combo. I'm not sure exactly how much damage he thought Grayson had there, but it definitely wasn't that much to take him down like that. So Gladiator Safeguard procs. Flop here with a lot of crowd controls on the Gorecki, but he is going to come out of those CC chains and then should be able to stabilize Chun-Li in this situation.
Yep, he's done a good job of doing so. Iron Bark comes in. Gorecki excellently played here. The small map is looking pretty good for them in the situation. Baby Cakes doesn't really have It doesn't have his trinket available, doesn't have his vanish available. Potentially he could do a swap to him. It looks like Touch of Death, though, is being committed onto Grayson. Temporal Shield, an easy answer for the Frost Mage. The short defensive cooldowns, such as the Ice Barrier and the Temporal Shield, are a perfect answer against a cleave that does not have Purge. So once again, Grayson is going to survive. They're doing a bit of damage over onto Flop, forcing him away. Just kind of trying to pressure, I feel like, for the boys, if they can burn down Flop's mana bar, and then if Grecky can do a good job of keeping him in the fight, that could be a way for them to win the game. They actually have really significant damage here onto Grayson. Potentially they could get an ice block, though they've got to be careful with Flop. I think it's actually more important to stop the drink than it is to get the ice block. It does look like Chun-Li's going to do a bit of both with that Ring of Peace.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Chun-Li, he's still trying to get the pressure rolling onto Grayson. Innervate's rolling for Flop. He's trying to play catch-up. There's big damage here for the boys. Baby Cakes and Grayson in some trouble, but Icy Veins gets pulled out. They're looking to reverse the pressure, and Smexen, he doesn't have the anti-magic zone. This could be danger time. Chun-Li, Smexen, they're all over the place. They were after Grayson, now Baby Cakes. Flop actually in a little bit of danger as he trades out his Bark Skin. Now a bash on Baby Cakes. Iron Bark forced to be traded out. The boys really keeping Flop guessing in this situation. We're only 4 minutes into the game. Flop's mana is not looking good. I feel like he's only going to be able to hold on for another couple of minutes if he doesn't sneak away for a drink.
Yeah, Flop is going to need to figure this out soon, but Hook Point is probably the best map to stop a healer from drinking because getting side to side is so easy and seamless. And with the Death Knight as well, with the Death and Decay and damage over time effects, it's very easy to stop a Druid from drinking. Good strategy from the boys here in game number 3 as they're looking solid. 30 seconds before dampening. Still not going to be a liability just yet with Smexen on that Death Knight. Grecky looks like he may even be trying to drink while Flop is pinned at the pillar. Baby Cakes is struggling, stumbling forward to stabilize. Now grapple weaponed, unable to attack. He's going to just push away from the enemy attackers, trying to avoid some damage while Grayson tries to pause the fight for Flop to drink, but Flop is not able to find any mana moving across the map. Now gripped back into the fight. Gorecki gets stunned up. Flop looking for some counter engagement. Let's see what they can get done with this. No follow-up crowd control. Get your boy dog dropping the ball here, or just going to show how important the maps are in this matchup. Flop in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, Flop is in huge trouble right here. Gladiator Safeguard is going to come out, and he could still die through it. Honestly, if the boys can keep a little bit of uptime, that could surely be it. But Baby Cakes, nice play right there. Using his Vanish, sheep shutting up the Windwalker, sheep shutting up the DK, saving Flop in that situation, but he's still out of mana. Baby Cakes taking a lot of damage. He has no cooldowns. He had to commit the Vanish there to try to survive. And honestly, at this point in the game, he really should look to blind Chun-Li here defensively. This is what we kind of see in these games that turn out to be a mana game. Go after the DK, defensive blind Chun-Li, go for drinks. Instead, he's going to essentially waste his blind onto Gorecki here because I don't see them landing a CC chain and killing Smexen when he has this much defense. Dampening only being at 6% here, Adrian.
Yeah, I think that they could just kind of take a book out of, a page out of Cloud9's book, go for those more defensive plays, you know, more blinds into Vanish Saps on Chun-Li, just shut down the damage from the Rogue Mage, because when Cubsy reaches this stage in dampening, normally he has a lot more mana. Grayson, though, is the one in trouble, does have both his ice blocks available, but Flop has been trying to get a drink for basically the last 3-4 minutes, hasn't been able to do so. Grecky has been the man. He's been doing such a good job getting over, denying the enemy healer. Healer versus healer battles are very important in these mana games because the DPS, especially against the Frost Mage, basically unable to move. They're never going to be able to catch Flop and deny him. Maybe on the small map a little bit more so, but Grecky has been the one holding it down. Is he going to be able to do so once again? Chun-Li's actually the one. He picks up the ball for the boys, denying Flop once again here. Still no mana, though damage definitely in favor of Getchur Boy Dog, even still at the early stages of dampening.
Yeah, and Smexen's in a lot of trouble. Anti-Magic Cell trades out. Gorecki almost completely tapped on mana. He's moving in cat form. Both these Druids are running out of time. We're only at 13% dampening. Flop, he gets swapped to. Caught into a stun. He's used the Bark Skin. He doesn't have an Iron Bark. His Smexen and Chun-Li can stay on target. Unfortunately, the Frost Nova comes in from Grayson. That's going to be slowing down the boys. Grayson and Baby Cakes, they're looking to get hyper-aggressive. Icy Veins gets pulled out with the Vendetta. Smexen in a lot of trouble. Full Cyclone secured, but it's still Get Your Boy Dog on the back foot. disarm coming in from Chun-Li. That grapple weapon will be slowing down Baby Cake's damage. That's going to be keeping the boys in the game. And although Getchur Boy Dog used all their offensive cooldowns, the boys are still in a prime position for victory.
Big touch of death push here from Chun-Li. Gladiator Safeguard gonna proc. Smexen pushing for the kill. Just a couple of seconds away from when dampening is going to become overwhelming for Smexen. The boys need to close this out. They've got the mana lead. They've got the momentum. They just need the finishing touch. Can they push forward? Gorecki, I want to see him getting aggressive. Get in their face and cap farm. Start dealing some damage before we get to that dampening mark where Smexen is just going to fall over. Blind is available for Baby Cakes at any moment. He could activate that and get the Gladiator's Medallion of Gorecki. Chun-Li is trying to race down Flop. We see Gorecki trinketing that blind immediately, activating the Iron Bark in tandem. Good combination of cooldowns there rather than the Lichborn of Smexen, which can be usable when Gorecki is not in, or when he is in crowd control. Baby Cakes down half, Flop in a stun, but he anticipated it and read the situation. Pre-Iron Parking Baby Cakes, but the boys don't care about Iron Park on the Rogue. They're attacking Flop. Flop doesn't have any defense. His Gladiator Safeguard procced earlier if they can stay on target. The boys ping-ponging back to Baby Cakes. Smexen stunned up. He pre-anti-magic shells the stun, but even still it gets crunched at 23% dampening. Still the boys with a significant lead.
I really wanted to see a defensive blind come out of Baby Cakes in that situation. He has no defense left, and he's on the ropes right now. Smexen is looking to close. The Abomination is out, but it just faded right there. Chun-Li looking for the Serenity. I think he's going to activate it here with his next Fist of Fury. Flop, what are you going to do? He's tapped on mana. Iron Bark gets traded out. Grayson blocks the stun. Fist of Fury with the Serenity. Chun-Li doing so much damage. Breaking a full counterspell here. We see the Vendetta's getting triggered here. Grayson with Temporal Shit actually in a lot of trouble here because he uses Ice Block to kind of weather the situation there.
Uh-oh!
Up in big trouble.
Grayson's in so much trouble. Is he going to get the Ice Block off if Chun-Li and Smexen can't connect?
Whoa!
Unbelievable. The boys managed to battle it back here on the smaller map. Their pressure was immense, and the fact that Flop couldn't get the drinks off really sealed the deal there for the boys.
Dude, that game was absolutely incredible from the boys. I really feel like the Getchur Boy Dog do still have the edge in this matchup, despite the map size, but they denied the drink the entire time. They get the kill at the end. Really good stuff coming in from the boys here. They are defying this Rogue Mage meta. They're one of the few teams to do it, and they're looking good for Championship Sunday.
Yep, the boys and Championship Sunday mention a more, classic
dynamic,
hero.
yeah.
It's just
It's the classic at this point.
It's like sliced bread at this point. And honestly, again, Chun-Li showing us why he is the MVP here. Being able to just dish out so much pressure here, that leg sweep that forced out the Ice Block from Grayson. I mean, Baby Cakes, he was going to go down for sure in this situation. No feint available, Chun-Li connects, gets the double leg sweep here. You guys see that? That was actually crazy. So he bounces Grayson into Baby Cakes and then gets the double leg sweep right there with the Ring of Peace. Nicely done there by Grandmaster Chun-Li. Grayson ice blocks out of that situation to save Baby Cakes, but instead he becomes the target. And he thought that he could get away with that play because he had 2 ice blocks, but guess what, Grayson? Hypothermia is a very real problem in Hook Point Arena, and that's the reason why.
I didn't know it was especially cold in that arena, but I guess when you're playing against Chun-Li,
you never spend any days at the sea, it gets cold.
Okay, there you go. The Seagulls definitely suggesting that. But I mean, at the end of the day, Chun-Li, incredible. You can see why 3 of us voted him for MVP, and then I think you put him as DPS, right? Even if you didn't put him as your MVP.
Is that in National
so
Geographic, as seagulls go
well, no, they just mean that it's
water?
near the sea. Like seagulls are near the sea, and he said that it was cold near the seaside. That was no joke. I was just referencing his reference. It wasn't meant to be funny. I know I'm normally very funny,
that's why I was
hysterical,
out the
if you will. But in this situation, I was just, I think that this was very good from Chun-Li. Tiger's Peak, that's an excellent transition. What do you think?
What do I think about it? Over like what, Ash? Is there a joke or something I'm missing here?
No,
No, we need to get off that.
Tiger's Peak, I feel like,
Yeah.
honestly, I would have preferred Ashamane's Fall coming in. I think that's a better map for Getchur Boy Dog, the Rogue Mage Druid. Ashamane's Fall, it's a little bit bigger of a map, but I guess Tiger's Peak might provide a little bit more opportunities to drink. I mean, if you can sneak away behind the platform, it actually can be difficult to shut that down. So maybe that's what they're going for here. But I feel like Tiger's Peak or Ashamane's Fall should play into the favor of Getchur Boydog. However, the boys did win on the Grand Arena, so it's not completely hopeless for them. That last game was looking good. I feel like what the boys really need to focus on is shutting down the drinks, because that game came down to mana. Obviously, the smaller map helps them a lot, but if they can deny the drinks from flop, I feel like they can close out the game much earlier than 40% dampening.
It's certainly dangerous as well, locking in Tiger's Peak into someone who can invoke Zuen, Super Tees.
Yeah, you don't pick Tiger's Peak when you're facing Chun-Li.
Why not?
It's like a plus 50% damage buff to monks.
Yeah,
That's truth, right? That's 100% fact.
At least you get away from the seagulls and to the tigers.
Okay, well, we need to get off this topic. Overall, let's talk about the matchup, because this matchup, we've seen it play out a couple of times. Obviously, absolutely incredible end there from the boys. We were getting pretty excited about the fact that Chun-Li got that knock into the double stun, into the execution at the end of that one. But you said at the start of the series, we haven't seen enough data here. Are you starting to get convinced that this is a matchup that Windwalker DK should win? Or do you think this is just one where if they go up into a slightly more veteran Rogue Mage Druid, they will still struggle?
Well, honestly, and I've been, taking a lot of notes here with my boy Super Tees. We've been writing down
And your comb, right?
all kinds of statistics, and of course, the comb is always at hand. And if I'm gonna be completely honest, my professional opinion here, and Super Tees of course as well, after careful consideration, after taking all of the entry points, all the data that we have collected, this series has convinced me more than ever that Rogue Mage should win.
Okay, they're 2-1 up. What's the reason for that?
Well, I feel like there's been a couple of mistakes here on the side of Getchur Boydog that, a little bit more experienced team perhaps wouldn't be making. And honestly, I feel like the boys have kind of been playing out of their mind in some of these games to get their win. So I feel like it's like a combination of, the Rogue Mage Druid kind of making a couple of more mistakes than we usually see, and the Windwalker DK really playing on that super high level. It feels like if they can stop the drinks, the Windwalker DK should win. But more often than not, you're going to be able to sneak away and get at least, a little bit of a drink. Being a druid yourself, Adrian, I'm sure you're familiar with that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely agree with that. And I think the biggest thing I agree with out of all the things you said there is that the boys have been playing like absolute legends. Smexin, Chun-Li, and in particular, in my mind, Gurecki, legendary defense, but also offense. He's playing Feral Affinity into Rogue Mage. He's going after flop 24/7. This guy, such a nuisance for Getchur Boydog. Maybe they should win the matchup, but it's certainly not looking like they will the way the boys are playing.
Yep, flop. That was a dangerous situation, but he managed to escape. Gurecki, Chun-Li, Smekton with an all-in attempt. That was actually Gladiator's Maledict flying in also. Chun-Li, you can't really blame him for not using the Touch of Death, but if he had, flop might have actually fallen. Not sure. We'll see. Chun-Li now, he's chasing after Grayson, trying to get some damage rolling. Smexon still putting a little bit of his focus and attention onto flop, but I don't mind it. They can make flop play defensive in the matchup. That's going to slow down a lot of the incoming crowd control, and then make it difficult for flop to, keep the heal over time effect on Grayson and Baby Cakes, especially if he's afraid of being swapped to. Smexon, of course, grips him in. Once again, an Asphyxiate stun comes in, but flop, realizing that he was such a vulnerable target, managed to get in bear form, and it manages to escape.
All right, let's see if Chun-Li can get the reversal here. Touch of Death going off. Not going to be able to net a kill, unfortunately, as we see the boys switch back to Baby Cakes on that Assassination Rogue. And the strategy of just hitting whatever is closest to you and in front of you, Terminator style, is working really well for the boys. It's building momentum on multiple targets. It's burning flop's mana at a faster rate. This is one significant adaptation in playstyle I've seen from the boys throughout this series, is that they're now no longer just tunneling one target. If you get near the Windwalker Death Knight Shredder, you are going to get blended. The boys just focusing on maximizing their damage output. Landing a double stun here onto both Grayson and Baby Cakes. Flop going to defend Grayson with Iron Bark. Baby Cakes going to defend himself with Feint. However, Serenity is rolling, and as Feint ends, Baby Cakes could be in trouble. He's going to stun up Chun-Li and stall that attack. Flop, though, is still crowd controlled. Smexon's going for an attack on Flop, dropping that Apocalypse. Flop doesn't seem to care. He's trying to jump in and stun Gurecki, but if he disrespects the Windwalker Death Knight, it could cost his team the series.
Yep, a lot of damage here onto Flop still, and nice Ring of Peace once again from Chun-Li. Activates his Touch of Karma, kind of offensively there actually. He procs the Gladiator Safeguard, a lot of trouble here for Flop, and he is going to be able to get away right now. Nicely diffused situation there from Grayson, and Chun-Li, sorry, that's his only defense that he has left. Flop still in a lot of trouble there. Bash.
Whoa, 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 whoa! Yeah, I think that's all. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, yeah.
Gorecki, that's the kind of offense we love seeing from Gorecki and the boys. I mean, at the end of that game, you're going to see Gorecki just be in cat form the entire duration of that setup. Took him down with such incredible amount of damage. I mean, that was really nicely executed there by the boys. They're going to win the series.
Yep, I mean, you shouldn't count out Gorecki when it comes to offense. I think the Rogue Mage got a little bit comfortable. You know, normally it takes a fair chunk of dampening to take them down. Here, though, Gorecki says no, he takes the win, and it will be a 3-1 victory for the boys here, advancing through to Championship Sunday. These final moments were pretty incredible.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think this is also what Super Tease was talking about with the damage buff that Chun-Li gets on this map. Definitely seems to kick in, because that one swap to Flop and the chase down as well with the Ring of Peace, it was beautiful to watch for sure, and Gorecki as well, already going for the re-stealth there, stunning up Grayson, and Flop here, there's the Ring of Peace I was talking about. Chun-Li with the Touch of Karma, really just making it difficult for Flop here. They get the safeguard out of the way here, which of course is a big victory with that crackling Jade Lightning actually, and that Touch of Karma damage over time effect, and then of course Flop actually going for the Cyclone, gets bashed by Gorecki, and Gorecki meld rakes down to follow that up. Chun-Li just able to get into line of sight, and Gorecki honestly basically soloed Flop there in that situation, and Flop, he was definitely a little bit overly aggressive in that scenario.
Yeah, I love to see it. I actually love watching Gorecki. I wish I could take back my pick, because this guy is such a legend. He's been doing such a good job defying the mage meta. Gorecki has made it through to Championship Sunday. You guys will see him very much representing North America at the summer finals.